Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the first episode in the Subaru swap series. I feel like it was just yesterday that I decided on doing an EJ25 swap, and now I'm driving an hour to go pick up a donor. The reason we had to load up the car using these creative methods is because the auto trans is shot, but not to worry, I shan't need that, and the car runs. Now, if you enjoy these videos, don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the project and leave me a comment down below and hit that like button. Now let's get this car in the front of my house and get right to work. Will we be able to remove the harness, shorten it, and get it all started in 2 days? Let's find out.
All the way to the left. Okay. Boo 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 boo.
So we know she runs.
Yeah, she definitely runs. But she doesn't move.
So my plan is to remove the entire wiring harness first, shorten it, modify it, and then start the engine while it's still in the car with the new wiring harness. If that works, we'll drop the engine. So, Eli has been helping. He's been keeping watch, making sure I don't mess anything up. That is kiddo number 3 for the Franksters, if you have been keeping count.
You're going on 7.
And what? We've got most of the wiring harness disconnected from the engine. And now we're gonna rip the dash out and pull it through. This has all been done in 1 day. Ain't that right, honey? She sounds so excited. We only got so much daylight left, and it's time for my least favorite part, which is ripping out the dash. Let's do it. There it is. All done in, I don't know, 6 hours? Boy, was that exhausting. Oh my God, I'm out of breath. Wear gloves, children. Wear gloves. So Mallory has let me bring the wiring harness inside so I could work in the AC. Thank you.
Only temporarily. Like, it better be done quick.
So we're gonna get to work on, I definitely pulled more wires than I had to, that's a fact. So after about 2 hours, I've got pretty much the main stuff I need sorted out. So the ECM, this is what hooks onto the engine wiring harness, which is over there. And then here we've got the ignition relay, fuel pump relay, tester cables, that's the alternator cable and AC. And then over here we've got the OBD sensor and some blower fan relay. And that's everything we've cut off so far. The next step is gonna be remove all the sheathing, trim out any of the wires that aren't connected to anything, and use the pinout to figure out what we're keeping and what we're not. That's all the pizza we got?
No, we have more.
Put it on the top rack. So we've got all that extra wiring removed. There might be a little bit more to remove. But I've got to go get a label maker and the pinout and then start labeling cables and tidying things up. So I've got the pinout printed, and I've got an old school classic label maker. So instead of printing it out, which I tried, I'm looking at it on the computer, and I've got the ECU on my lap, and just a mess. Is it worth someone doing this for 800 bucks? So it is literally nighttime now. I've got most of the extra wires labeled. Most of them are gonna be pulled out of the ECM eventually. Got the main relay, fuel pump relay, OBD2 sensor, 2 test ports, all the engine connectors, and I hope I'm not missing anything. I think that's everything. It should be. I've watched a lot of videos. So here's everything that I've pulled off the main harness, along with the stray wires that I've pulled out from everything else that I had. This is probably a good few pounds worth. If there are any details that I might have glazed over that you're curious about, make sure to leave it in the comments and I will answer it, as I've learned a lot in the last couple days, and it's literally been 2 days. Got everything labeled. The neutral switch, which I believe I'll have to ground. All my ground wires over there. Engine connectors. And I've got a manual fuel pump right there. And I'm gonna go try it before supper. So the side that plugs into the engine is currently completely unmodified. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that all up right now. Got my fuel pump, replaced Mallory. Mallory's behind the camera. Got the ECM, my little fuse box, which is gonna be my ignition switch. That's connected to the battery. I have the intake off, so I don't know if that's gonna create problems, but only one way to find out. All right, Mariah, you're gonna be back here. The black one goes to this side and the red one here. And it turns on the fuel pump. Black here, red here. Okay. Now, I've got to connect, my heart's beating.
Are you okay?
Power here. Noises are happening. Now I'm gonna do ignition on. Should be here. I think the ignition's on. Probably gonna have to connect this to here. And then, Mariah, I need you to fuel pump.
Now?
Yeah. Fuel pumping?
Now.
I did it! Thank you, fuel pump.
Hell yeah.
That's it! So here comes my simple explanation of how I got this all to work. The first thing I did was figure out what exactly I needed. That was the main relay, fuel pump relay. You want to keep the OBD2 sensor, your tester ports, and then I went and labeled every single stray wire. Yes, Jasper, yes I did. As you can see, you know, vehicle speed sensor, all kinds of switches, because I'm not sure which ones I'm gonna use. So I'm not cutting any of that yet. I kept all the engine connectors, did not touch anything, didn't change a thing. And then using the pinout, I figured out what needed to be grounded on the ECM. I brought it all together on this ground joiner thing that's just part of the harness. I found out which cable is the ECM 12 volt power, which is pretty much the main relay power. Labeled that, and then I figured out which one was the ignition switch. That is where my bus bay came in handy. I wired this straight to the battery and then ran my ECM power through a fuse just in case, because I'm very scared of frying that harness. And then instead of using an ignition switch, when I wanted it to turn on, I just plugged it into another one of the bays that had a fuse, and that was essentially the equivalent of turning the key. As for the fuel pump, the reason I had Mariah do it is because I couldn't figure out which wire led to the fuel pump. Not from here, that's this wire. I know that this one goes to the fuel pump, but I couldn't find it in the car because I had ripped everything out. So instead I had Mariah, Mallory standing in for Mariah this time, just directly wire it to another battery. The first time I ran it, just then, was without the alternator wiring harness. It's not really necessary because I was just gonna run it for a few seconds. On the next episode, you're gonna see me actually shortening everything to the length that it needs to be to fit well in the engine bay. And I have an OBD2, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, whatever sensor coming so that I could see what engine codes I'm throwing and figure things out from there. Thanks for watching that video. I hope you're subscribed. If you're not, why not? And don't forget to send us an email if you want one of these great bus wood burnings. See you in the next one.